Hi, it's Rich from Teach Me Music Academy, and today I'm going to be showing you my top 10 2020 guitar lines. Now, 2020 might have been a bit of a write-off because of everything going on with COVID, but there were some fantastic music releases that we can have a look at in this video. I'm going to be walking through these releases and showing you not only how they're played, but talking to you about what they're doing and what put them in my top 10 2020 guitar lines. So without further ado, let's get started with riff number 1, which is the main chord progression from Harry Styles' Watermelon Sugar. Now, Watermelon Sugar is this fantastic, laid-back, indie kind of funk-infused song. The main 4 chords are these beautiful use of major, minor, and 7th chords, which add a really kind of laid-back feel to this song, and they just cycle through every section of this song. All together, combined with a really nice, gentle, clean, funk-driven kind of strumming, they make for a really kind of chilled, laid-back feel. I'm going to show you how that's played right now. So the second song on this list is Doja Cat, Say So. It's another really feel-good, happy, funk-driven pop piece, but with a little bit of a difference between this and the previous one that we've mentioned. This song makes great use of staccato, stabbed chords, unlike Harry Styles' very kind of smooth, lightly strummed pieces. It also really makes great use of these ghost notes and muted notes, which is where I'll be resting my fingers across the strings and strumming them to not get a particular note sound out, but just relying on that kind of muted sound. There was a lot of pop music in 2020 that relied on this kind of funk-driven sound, and Doja Cat's is probably one of the biggest examples we can give of this really awesome, clean, funk-driven sound. Here's what it sounds like. The third guitar part on this list is from Shawn Mendes featuring Justin Bieber's song Monster. Now, it's a little bit different to the funk-driven sounds that we've heard in the previous 2 songs, and we're going to be relying on a bit of distortion for this song. This is the outro riff for the song, so it's the last thing we hear before the song fades out. It's a really, really simple melodic riff based around 3 notes that then moves across the strings and then up an octave later on. It's kind of vocal inspired. It's the kind of thing that you could hum along to straight away if you heard it. So as soon as that riff kicks in at the end of the song, it grabs your attention, and within 30 seconds you'll be humming that in your head and remembering it any day of the week. Goes a little bit like this. The fourth guitar part on this list is going to be from Miley Cyrus's song WTF Do I Know. Now, this is a very, very different song from the ones we've seen on this list so far. It's a super fast, punky, driven opener for her album that she dropped in 2020. And we're going to be looking at the solo section of this song. Yes, you heard me right. There's a solo section in a Miley Cyrus song. So throughout this song, we've got this driving, punk-infused pop song, and then halfway through it drops into this fantastic guitar solo, which incorporates so many different techniques. It's melodic, but it's also fast and incorporates loads of alternate picking, slides, hammer on some pull-offs, and there's a really strong melody in every single section. It's not just needless shredding, it's not just a solo for the sake of solo, it feels justified within the context of the song, and just like the riff before in the Shawn Mendes song, it's easily singable back. You can hum it in your head as soon as you hear it because of all these melodic hooks going on throughout the solo. One of my favourite sections is the very first bit with the use of slides, slipping backwards and forwards between whole tone jumps, moving around the fretboard. It goes a little bit like this. Song number 5 on this list is Dua Lipa's Break My Heart. Now, a lot of people who would think of this song would think it's a bass-driven song, and you're right, it is. But the guitar is there to complement the bass and enhance the vocals rather than have its moment to shine. A big part of being a guitarist is knowing when it's your time to shine and when it's time to step back and just help the instruments around you. And the guitar part in this song is a fantastic example of how a guitar can do that. We're once again utilizing those kind of jazz and funk inspired chords, as well as a really kind of funk style rhythm with some sharp staccato chords and a constant kind of 16th strumming rhythm. But we've also got this awesome little melodic hook that follows the vocal melody, and that really helps enhance that descending melodic phrase. I'll show you what I mean on this little extract. Song number 6 on this list is Billie Eilish's song, My Future. Now here's another example where the guitar is not there to take the limelight and steal the show. It's a really, really subtle, soft touch that it adds to this song. What we're using is a lot of palm muted chords and a lot of kind of jazzy 7th and minor 7th chords, as well as some nice little licks and splashes of colour with a little descending pattern dropping down the pentatonic scale. It's a really soft touch, as I said, and really complements Billie Eilish's very, very soft vocals. The song itself is a really, really kind of laid back, kind of ambient feel, and the guitar really helps to that. You might not notice it as much listening through on the first listen, but when you kind of start to hear those little chords, it kind of shines through and adds a little bit more colour and a little bit more spice to the song. Here's what it goes like. So song number 7 is by a band called Unprocessed, and the song is called Abandoned. Now this isn't something you're going to hear in the charts very often, but it's another song that was released in 2020 which has an outstanding guitar work in it, and I couldn't help but include it on this list. Unprocessed are a progressive metal band, which means they're incorporating loads of elements from different kind of music such as jazz, funk, even salsa, dare we say, when you hear this riff. It's absolutely jam-packed with different techniques such as right-hand tapping, some really fast virtuosic slides, as well as a really awesome percussive strumming technique. Here, the lead guitarist is using the ability to mute the strings with fast, precise, tight rhythms in order to create an almost percussive feel. The riff itself is complex and there's a lot going on, but it's that kind of driving rhythm of the percussive strumming that really helps push the rhythm through. Here's how it goes. So track number 8 on this list is Bring Me the Horizon's Obey. Now, as you can see by the change of guitar, we've already started to stray into some heavier territory on this list. Now, Bring Me the Horizon are one of the biggest rock and metal bands on the planet at this very moment, and I couldn't help but include this in my top 10 guitar riffs. I'm going to be looking at the intro riff to this song. It's a super fast, super heavy, but super easy and quite catchy guitar riff, which is based around modes. Modes, as I've said before, create familiarity through repetition because they don't quite always sit where you expect them to when we're talking about the tonal center. This particular sounding mode has a real kind of metal sound to it. It's a chord and note progression that you'll hear quite a lot in metal music. And then to finish off the riff at the very end, we've got this really groovy single note tremolo pick section. It's super, super fast and made up of little sections of 16th note bursts with very, very slight pauses in between it. It's fast and frantic, but altogether very catchy and very, very groovy. And it goes a little bit like this. Track number 9 on my top 10 guitar lines from 2020 is by a band called Malevolence, and it's the song Keep Your Distance. Now we're getting even heavier now. We're looking at a really super heavy, super fun track to play along to. The main riff is focused around this really heavy, chunky chordal progression. Once again, based around modes, but also focusing on a little bit of chromaticism, which means we're using all the notes around the fretboard. In between those big chunky palm muted sections which create this really kind of bouncy vibe, we've got some really widdly modal sections based around some odd sounding sounds which almost sound a little bit Arabian. Those little bits of melody in between these chunky heavy riffs create a little bit of variation in the sound every single time we hear it, always coming back to that familiar chunky bouncy main chordal riff. It's super, super heavy but super, super fun. So this is what it goes like. So now we come to the final song on my top 10 2020 guitar lines list, and the song is by a band called Spiritbox, and it's the song Holy Roller. We are definitely into the more extreme side of things here. Just like pop music, there's been so many fantastic guitarists played throughout the extreme metal community, and this is one of them. We're tuning right down to a super, super low tuning, and when we play along on the higher end of our neck with some really, really bouncy high notes. There's loads and loads of extreme bends in this, which give for a really awesome but little bit different sounding riff, as well as some really thick, heavy sounding chords. And especially when we drop down to the lower end of the fretboard and chug those open notes, it comes through with an absolute pounding punch to the face sound. This is one of the heaviest songs that was released last year, and I couldn't help but put it on this list. Here's how it goes. And that's it. That is my top 10 2020 guitar lines. However, this is all subject to opinion. These were my top picks. You might think something different, and I'm more than interested to hear what you've got to say. So if you want to have your say, drop your favorite guitar lines in the comments below, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to us on Facebook, Instagram, and all our social media accounts to keep up to date with all the amazing content we've got coming your way. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Maybe you've learned something new today, or maybe you've heard some new music, but we will see you next time.